We are happy to introduce you all in our fourth international conference on World Mental Health Week. Today, on the first day, we have a very unique guest speaker, Honorable Anthony Altman sir from Israel. He is a clinical hypnotherapist, researcher, holistic life coach, philosopher, and spiritual counselor too. So today's his topic is self-actualization. So not taking too much time, now I would like to request honorable guest to kindly proceed today's session.
Thank you, Samyak, for the introduction, and greetings to everybody wherever you are on this wonderful yet troubled planet. My name is Anthony Altman, as you can see, and I will talk about self-actualization. So firstly, let me just say that I have done many things in my life. I've spent 77 years of my life learning, traveling, and now my job is to provide information that will help inspire and motivate people to self-actualize themselves. And I will explain a little bit more at the end of this lecture. So first of all, what is self-actualization? Kurt Goldstein, a German neurologist and a psychologist in the early part of the 20th century, informed us that self-actualization was, and it still is, the process by which an individual reaches his or her potential, and this is the ultimate goal of all organisms. So secondly, what then is our full human potential? Abraham Maslow, an American psychologist, defined it as being pertinent to human beings, and that self-actualization is a motivator once a variety of more basic needs are met. Such needs include psychology, physiology, and love, and I say universal, unconditional, non-judgmental love. So here we have the basis of self-actualization given to us by two world-famous psychologists. And while I acknowledge their wonderful contribution, they addressed only a part of the complete package that self-actualization really is. At least this is my opinion. While we are dealing with opinions, I tend to approach this concept from a much more pragmatic angle, and which also includes that which is beyond physics, beyond our physiology, which we know as metaphysics, that which is beyond the physical world. Therefore, please allow me to explain. Let us understand that the full potential of a human being and all other biological organisms is 100%. However, on a physiological level, the average human being experiences the following. According to science, this is number one, according to science, we're using 4% of our DNA. And science tells us, confirms this, and tells us that 96% of our DNA has no function that they know of course. And consequently, they deem all that, 96% of our DNA, they deem as junk DNA. Number two, we use about 5% of our mental potential, meaning 95% of our mental potential is unused. Number three, we use a very small fraction of what our minds are capable of. Our minds is different to our mental capacity. The mental capacity is to do with the brain. Here we're talking about the mind. And because we don't know the full capacity of the mind, we are not able to apply a percentage, because we have not developed greater access to our mind, which is an unimaginable resource that can take us from ordinary human beings to superhuman beings. Number 4, it is also known that the average human being only sees about 5% of the light spectrum. This is very shocking to me, actually. That means we're only seeing 5% of what really is there, and that we are blind to 95% of our physical world. Shocking indeed. This would mean that wherever you are, looking around you, you're only seeing 5% of what really is there. Number 5, the average human being can hear sounds in the 20 hertz to the 20,000 hertz range, while the average infant can hear a higher frequency, which unfortunately is lost as they mature. The average person hears the upper limit in the range of 15,000 hertz to 17,000 hertz, according to what I have read. And this means that we are deaf to higher ranges, because the range I just quoted is a very, very narrow spectrum of sound frequency waves. And we're not aware of what greater frequencies are available to us as human beings. This is a vast and much higher range of sound than is available to us, whatever that vast range is, but we are deaf to it. However, we know animals have a greater range of sound than we do, and they hear these sounds, or some of them. Number 7, most people are unaware how their bodies function, and they do not believe, this is very interesting and very important, that their healthy immune system can cope with most diseases, illnesses, viral or bacterial infections. If they do know that, they do not know how to achieve a healthy immune system, or at the very least, how not to impair its function. Number 8, most people have no idea what is an appropriate dietary lifestyle for their individual constitution. Food is not a one size that fits all. Number 9, the last point. Most people are unaware that they are operating at a fraction of their greater potential. I've set the stage now. In fact, considering the above points, it is amazing that so many human beings live to what is termed old age. Therefore, self-actualization is that process that can help an individual develop more of their innate potential that is not being used yet. Now, that was the physiological level. Now, on the metaphysical level, which includes the more subtle aspects of a human being, such as mind, including all learned beliefs, all learned patterns of behavior, and all learned programming, which also includes the learned character and personality of a person, and also a learned dysfunctional ego, which can be said to also be part of the mind. This is where self-actualization is the most productive in the mind. Furthermore, this includes the subtle, energetic bodies, such as the astral body, the soul, which are part of the spiritual aspect of a human being. I wish to talk about body, mind, spirit, soul, holistic, because that is how we are going to really self-actualize the complete nature of our existence. I have done extensive research on how human beings are programmed to think, speak, and act in a prescribed manner, so as to conform to whatever the status quo is, which is regarded as the norm. Any deviation from the norm is met with resistance from others, sometimes fiercely so, especially if the norm is generated by those in control of humanity, of all people, of the planet, of all industry, of the everything. Those people in control and who wish to fulfill their own private agenda, which we are seeing right now on our planet. And this is not for the highest good of the people. or for all of life on planet Earth? Well, so far, I have described the situation on planet Earth as being quite negative, yet it is of vital importance that we know what the issue is, or issues, the dilemma, so that we can resolve it. The undeniable fact is that most human beings have given their sovereign power away to others who have dominion over the majority of the people, and over a protracted period of time, the people have been enslaved, disenfranchised, and controlled in such a way that the people now think that this is a normal state in which to live. I find that quite shocking. And yet everything that I am observing tells me that this is true. The challenge, therefore, is for those of us who know the truth and have not bent our knee to give obeisance to the controllers who instead have done and continue to develop more of our innate potential and consciousness. I would like to repeat that again. The challenge is for us who know the truth and who have not bent our knee to give obeisance to the controllers, and those who have not bent the knee, have instead done and continue to do to develop more of our innate potential and consciousness, which is known as self-actualization. Unfortunately, such brave and valiant souls are repudiated for one reason or another, and this is an interesting psychological reaction born of psychological dysfunction that was created by a slow and methodical entrainment of the masses by the few in control. Creation and evolution are inexorable, and life moves on, and mostly forward or upward to higher frequencies of vibration, depending on our individual choice, as and when a person chooses to develop more of their innate potential. Thus, self-actualization is the process that a person experiences in order to be more than they are at any given moment. It is a natural inclination for life to be more of itself, unless there are imposed limitations, such as one's learned beliefs, learned patterns of behavior, and learned programming that limit one's perception, conscious awareness, consciousness, and the vast innate potential, human potential, that we all possess. Self-actualization, therefore, is the means by which we accelerate our evolutionary process of becoming 100% potentialized human being. I'm going to repeat that. Self-actualization, therefore, is the means by which we accelerate our evolutionary process of becoming 100% potentialized human being. And this accelerated process begins with the following points. Number one, choice. Choosing to actualize. Each one of us makes that choice. Number two, inviolate intention, a course of action to promote self-actualization. Three, application, meaning actually doing it. Four, focus, not being distracted or dissuaded from the task. Five, inner strength and resolve. People will try to dissuade you, and they will want you to follow the path that they are following. But because you are different, they will do what they can to dissuade you. So you're required to have inner strength and resolve. Number six, courage. People may even try to malign you. Courage. Seven, tenacity. You will be tested by people and life experiences. It's always the case. You choose a course of action, and the universe will always send some situation or some person to test you to see if that's what you really mean. And number eight, achievement. Voila. Can you imagine how your life could be if you increased your innate potential by just a few percent? Can you imagine how your life would be if you developed more of your innate consciousness. I've talked about consciousness, and our innate human potential is easily understood. But what is consciousness? I will do my best to describe and to explain and describe what consciousness is, which is a daunting task to say the least, because it is not really possible to describe the indescribable. So here goes. Consciousness is, in fact, the entire basis upon which a person is able to perceive his or her reality. I'm going to repeat that. Consciousness is, in fact, the entire basis upon which a person is able to perceive his or her reality. So I've got a few points here. Consciousness is not the actual perception, but rather the medium, the non-physical, the energetic medium by which conscious awareness, our ability to perceive, and all perception can exist. Consciousness is I'm going to repeat that again. Consciousness is not the actual perception, but rather the medium by which conscious awareness and all perception can exist. Consciousness is the quantum field of energy by which the conscious thinking mind is aware of the perception of anything and everything. Consciousness is that field of energy known as the quantum field, the field of all possibilities, the infinite field, the morphogenic field, the source of all solutions, the source of all possibilities. Conscious awareness is structured in consciousness. And as consciousness is further developed, so does conscious awareness expand. Consciousness is the means by which universal law and natural law are accessed naturally and spontaneously. Conscious awareness, therefore, is the ability to be consciously aware of one's perception, which depends on your consciousness. Consciousness is the means by which human beings can express themselves and evolve into higher frequencies of knowing and existence. This is a very important point I'm going to share now. Consciousness is in the realm of the observer, that's you, that's me, observing the observer, which is you, which is me, who was observing the object. I'm going to explain. There is the object that is being observed. The initial observer, your lower self, body, is observing the object. The unseen observer, your higher self, is observing the observer, your lower self body, which is observing the object. This is important to understand. I have a lot to cover. I'm doing the best I can. I have a certain amount of time. I could go on for hours, but we have 45 minutes. Some years ago, I had a deeply profound conversation with an extremely aware friend of mine, and this is what he said. Please try to understand this because it is so incredibly profound. This is what he said. Pay attention to attention before attention collapses into the object of attention, resulting in the creation of a subject separate from the object, meaning the egocentric separate sense of self, the fundamental illusion. Pay vigilant attention to your thoughts, as in, speak, I am listening, to disrupt the circle and jerk the mind chatter, by commanding it to continue, then it will stop. The purpose of the mind chatter is to maintain the chatter, which it will do unless we intervene with vigilant attention. Now, I'm going to explain what that was. In other words, when you command the mind to do something, it invariably has the tendency to do the opposite. And this is a complex situation to explain, but please accept that as it is. You probably understand this as your reality when you have tried to do that. Stop the mind from doing something, it just continues, goes in the opposite direction. So when we use reverse psychology in this instance, it is then most interesting to note that when we command the mind to stop the chatter, it continues. And when we command the mind to continue the chatter, it stops. This approach is extremely helpful for those who have hitherto been thwarted in their attempts to self-actualize. Because when you say to yourself, well, I want to self-actualize, depending on your learned programming, your learned beliefs, your learned patterns of behavior, your mind will do the opposite. So you might have to indulge in reverse psychology. As I said, the approach is extremely helpful for those who have hitherto been thwarted in their attempts to self-actualize their greater potential, especially if they are working against a learned belief or a learned program that insists on preventing them from developing that greater potential. This directive, suggestion, information is also informing us that we are to place more of our attention on the act of paying attention than on the object. The object is of little consequence, but how you perceive the object is of vital significance. This does require expanded conscious awareness, which is the direct result of your self-actualization. And self-actualization is a direct result of developing more of our innate consciousness. It's a lot of information, isn't it? So now here, to help us understand all this, I have an exercise for you, which you can do when it's convenient and appropriate to do it. It may help you understand what consciousness is if you have not had the experience of it. When appropriate and safe, please stand against the wall with your nose touching the wall, staring at the wall in front of you. You will be aware of about 12 inches, 30 centimeters horizontally, and about 6 inches, 15 centimeters vertically, without you moving your head. This is synonymous with the average person's conscious awareness. Correlating to the state of that person's level of consciousness. That's what they see. That's what they perceive. If that person takes one small step backwards, their perception of the wall increases enormously, even exponentially. This is an example to describe how the conscious perception of a person whose consciousness is greater, and accordingly their conscious awareness is expanded. Stepping back is like expanding your consciousness, raising your consciousness, expanding your conscious awareness. So the person who stepped backwards one step is able to see much more of the wall than the person with his nose against the wall. The person with his nose against the wall has a conscious awareness of the wall, limited. The person who has stepped back has got a much, much wider conscious perception of the wall. This experience of expanded awareness is experienced by a small minority of human beings, and which is increasing, I'm very pleased to say. Taking one step backwards, of course, is akin to raising consciousness, resulting in the expansion of your conscious awareness, which is the result of raising consciousness. Yes, this is not such an easy subject to describe, and I'm doing the best I can. I really hope you are able to appreciate it. It is so vitally important that you do. And if you don't, please communicate with me, get in touch with me. I will explain to you in a moment how you can do that. I would also like to mention that when the person who has stepped back from the wall and consequently is able to see more of the wall tells that person who is still standing at the wall with the nose touching the wall what can be seen. So you've stepped back, the other person's standing at the wall, and you see windows and doorways and pictures and all this sort of stuff. The other person will disbelieve you. The other person who sees less will even judge you and may call you a liar or a conspiracy theorist. This is unfortunately the way those people who are limited in their perception, ignorant of the greater knowledge, ignorant of greater conscious awareness, interact with those who have greater conscious awareness, greater knowledge. And we can see the same having occurred during the recent pandemic. A lot of people got vaccinated. A lot of people, including myself, did not get vaccinated. Oh, I was not vaccinated. And I explained to people why. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. And as the truth is now coming out, people are learning. Knowledge is always better than ignorance. Before you do anything, do your research, learn about it, and make a decision based on knowledge, not ignorance. In fact, we can see the same situations occurring throughout history as we read historical accounts, especially in the medical and scientific fields. You come up with a new idea, you are a liar, you are rejected. In this way, when consciousness is developing, perception increases exponentially, as well as the frequency of energy at which we vibrate. This increases your intuition, your ability to be consciously aware, and your intrinsic ability to know. Not learning something, to know from inside. The knowing seems to be related to the ability of spontaneously accessing what is known as the Akashic records at will, which is that metaphysical library, not physical at all. It exists in a much more refined, a much higher frequency of vibration, and is the depository of all knowledge, incorporating whatever has been, whatever is, and whatever will be in potentiality. If you are not sure about that, do your own research. Akashic records, A-K-A-S-H-I-C. It's a Sanskrit word. It means ether. Life, existence in any form, and whether subtle or gross, is based in consciousness. And as we develop more of our consciousness, we become more enlightened, which means, and I feel this, that we embody more divine light and less darkness or shadows within ourselves. Our physical reality in this third dimensional frequency is the densest dimensional reality with the lowest frequency of vibration. Evolution takes us on a journey to higher frequencies and less dense, which is more subtle, realities, and it is our choice that can either accelerate or retard this process. Therefore, if we desire to acquire the attributes of greater human potential, we are to develop such, and that begins with choice. Our choice can therefore either accelerate or delay the self-actualization process. I personally see suffering, all suffering, being the consequence of limited self-actualization or no self-actualization. And as any choice, whether conscious or unconscious, can and does exacerbate the suffering of the people. The solution is to encourage the self-actualization process. This sounds very good, but how do we do it? The ability to self-actualize after making the choice to do so lies in finding those techniques, modalities, and practices that are proven to be helpful in the self-actualizing process. And I list some of them as follows. Number one, meditation. This is probably the single most powerful means to self-actualize, and yet most people do not know what a formal meditation technique is or what it is not, and how it really works. This is why I wrote a book, Meditation, Yoga, and Breathing, which can be obtained free of charge at the moment until further notice on my website, anthonyaltman.net or anthonyaltman.net, ANTHONYALTMAN.net. There's a lot of information that can be very helpful to you. If some of this information is not fully understood, go to my website. You're able to contact me there on the contact page. I will be happy to enter into dialogue with you. Number two, affirmations, which I have used. I've been meditating, by the way, since 1971. And I do say, without shadow of a doubt, that it is the single most powerful means to self-actualize. And then I used other modalities. Number two, affirmations. It is important to understand how affirmations can work their magic, as I have experienced it, and I know it works. I have had incredible results. And in order to do that, one is to be aware of how and what we think. Sorry, a little bit dramatic here, but I wish to make a point. A positive thought, such as the affirmation or I'm going to be successful or wealthy, is neutralized with a following negative thought, like I'm going to succeed at this. Oh, I don't think so. Maybe I need luck. Maybe I'm not good enough. All these negative thoughts neutralize the first thought, the positive thought. This is explained in the science of sine waves, and I go to great lengths in explaining this phenomena, which can be also seen in my book, Affirmations, Invocations, Mantras, and Prayers, which is also obtainable from my website, anthonyaltman.net. And that book is free of charge also for the time being. Number three, another modality, or two or three, hypnotherapy. I am a retired hypnotherapist. I know what I'm talking about. Neuro-linguistic program. I never became a practitioner, but I've experienced it and I do recommend it. And the emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT or tapping, which I have learned and done, and I know what I'm talking about. These are three therapeutic modalities that can help you resolve inner issues that limit your greater perception of who you really are. You will require the services of a therapist for hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, except for EFT, which you can learn to do by yourself. And if you learn to do it correctly and you're able to work on yourself, it will work. Otherwise, you are to find an EFT therapist. The fourth point is dietary lifestyle. This is one area that most people have very little knowledge, and although it is applicable to the physiology of the body, especially the digestion, which is the foundation of a healthy body and general health, I refer to Ayurveda, the Indian science of life, which I recommend without reservation. This dietary lifestyle supports a healthy body, mind, and spirit in symbiotic balance. With such balance, it is so much easier to self-actualize in all areas of the human being. To this end, I wrote a book, Alternative Healing Techniques, Volume 1, in which I describe the Ayurveda dietary lifestyle quite well, I must say, even as a layman, but I've been following this dietary lifestyle since 2003. And this book I will be putting on my website very soon because I'm still in the process of editing it. And I think I've still got to make a book cover, a lot of work. And it will be free of charge until further notice. This book also presents a variety of other healing techniques that I feel can be of help in the process of self-actualization. There is a volume 2 that is also being revised and will be available a little later. Volume 1 will be up, I hope, in a few weeks. Number 5, Agnihotra. Agnihotra is also very, very well explained on my website. Agnihotra is a sacred puja ceremony, also known as a homa or a healing fire, according to a precise ritual, yajna, which has its origins in the science of Ayurveda, believe it or not. The ancient science of life from India, Ayurveda, which Ayurveda began about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. Agnihotra, I think, is about 2,000 years. Agnihotra is a dynamic process of purifying the atmosphere, our planet, ourselves, together with all the animals and plant life by means of a specially prepared fire ritual and mantras that is resonant with sunrise and sunset biorhythm of the planet, and which is performed precisely at sunrise and sunset daily. And as I said, for more information of this powerful practice, please go to my website, anthonyaltman.net. There are many such modalities, techniques, and practices, and I cover many of them in my various books. There's about 36 books I've written in total. There's about 6 on the website at the moment, and I'm doing my best to get as many as possible uploaded. Of course, there are many other authors of books that are equally helpful. And I encourage you to do your own research, read my books, read their books, learn and become knowledgeable. And then apply that knowledge and wisdom to yourself in order to self-actualize. Well, we're coming to the end. I've got another just page. What can we experience as we accelerate our process of self-actualization? Here is a list of what I feel is available to us as we develop more of our innate potential and consciousness. Number 1, universal divine love and compassion. Number 2, inner peace. Number 3, non-judgment of others. 4, contentment. 5, happiness and joy. 6, well-being and good health. 7, life-supporting decisions and choices. 8, prosperity according to our individual measure. 9, success in our endeavors. 10, attraction of all that which is beneficial. 11, services to others for its own sake. 12, expanded perception and knowing. These are but a few of the benefits and gifts afforded to us as we develop more of our innate consciousness and human potential. And this state of being is the product of the process of self-actualization. All that remains is for you to choose whether you wish to self-actualize and then to proceed and start doing it if you have not already done so. You can do so by making that choice and setting your intention. And I provide with you herewith another protocol that was given to me by Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, which is as follows. 1, please, I hope you can understand this. And if you cannot, please communicate with me. This has helped me enormously, and I still use it today, and it is of vital value to you. Number 1, self-inquiry. This means asking your higher self how you can improve yourself and how you can find the means to do so. 2, surrender to self. This means that you follow your guidance of your higher self, which includes your intuition. It means trust your higher self. And 3, pay attention to the ensuing results. When we make a choice, set an intention, inquire of the higher self in trust, there will always be results. Such results may be obvious or extremely subtle. By observing the results, you will be able to proceed accordingly. I wish you well in your process of actualization, and I encourage you to help others do the same. And I have one last statement to make. With all the corruption and aggression displayed by various leaders around the world and others that negatively affect the people of this planet, there is a defensive measure for the people. Self-actualization, as much as you can. This is our solution. How? Do your research, ask questions, start the process right now. As more people self-actualize, the more people will become empowered to change what is negative to what is positive, to change darkness into light, and to help us build a golden age for the benefit of all life on this planet. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and insightful session on the first day of this international conference. I think audience will learn a lot from your experience and session. It's always a pleasure of having you on this platform for enlightening the world and humanity. At the last, I just want to ask what will be your conclude message through this conference to all the world and humanity. So, what conclude message you want to provide to all of us?
Thank you for asking that question. It's a very, very important question. The people of the world are suffering now like they have not suffered for a long time. And they only suffer because they have decided to give their power away to other people. And those few people, we're talking of hundreds, perhaps a couple of thousand people who are in control of this planet. And the only way we are to change that is to self-actualize, to empower ourselves, and to stand together and say, no, we don't want that. We're not going to follow all this negative stuff. We're not going to fight wars. It is time. There is a wonderful artwork that I saw some time ago of a group of people, and in front there's a guy with a whip, and he's whipping the people, and they're all on their knees. And then the next picture is the guy with the whip whipping the people, and they are not on their knees. The guy with the whip goes on his knees. This is how we can change the planet to make positive improvements, by we the people standing together in sovereign power, individual sovereign power, having self-actualized us or ourselves or started the process. And when something comes up that is not good for us, we stand up together and we say, no. That is what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a straightforward message to all the humanity, and it is very relevant also. So once again, sir, thank you so much from bottom of our heart, from our organization, for your kind presence and for this very interactive and knowledgeable session. So thank you so much, sir, for
Thank you.
today's presence.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.